Okay, so welcome. I will do attendance towards the middle or end of class. I'm gonna get the lights down so you guys can actually see the board. So this week we are going to do our ethnography preview, and then since we're missing about half the class, we will do our discussion on Wednesday. So please definitely make sure that you have done your week 3 readings. There were just a couple videos for this week, but there was no actual readings for week 4. So please make sure you are ready to answer these questions on Wednesday. So our ethnography preview. Did we talk about it in this class, or was that my Tuesday, Thursday class that we did kind of a deep dive already? I think that must have been the Tuesday class. So our mini ethnography. Let me make sure to add our rubric in here, because it has more of the details that you need to know. And I don't know why it's like, there we go. I'm going to use that rubric. Okay. So our ethnography paper is an investigation into a culture that you are not a part of, preferably one that you are relatively unfamiliar with. So with this, you have to, step 1, select a culture that is more new to you. That's why we did this, that cultural exploration the other day, so that you could start looking into some cultures. But you have to be able to gain sufficient access to the group. This means that you have to be able to talk to people from this group in some way, shape, or form, because part of your grade is interviews. You need to make sure that they are sufficiently different to make this intercultural and small enough to be manageable, just meaning like, don't try to go too much overboard. So you need to have someone within this culture that you can talk to. You need a minimum of 3 people that you can talk to from this culture. And when we get down to the actual rubric, after we go through this kind of general explanation, then I will explain more particulars of that. You have to do academic research and use a minimum of 3 sources. By the time we get to this presentation, or well, part of it's a presentation, get to this paper, you will definitely have more than 3 sources, especially if you, when you did your cultural exploration, if you jotted down any sources that you might have used for that. You're welcome to use those in your paper as well, as long as they are cited appropriately, and that's where you got that information from. You have to develop a methodology. So this is just saying, how did you come across your information? Part of this can be, what kind of interview questions did you ask? And we will have a day, I believe it's next week, where I talk about how to interview. So how to formulate questions. So you will do your observation / your interviews to be able to provide some data. I know we are in a pandemic right now. We're not supposed to be really meeting in large groups. So your interviews can be digital or virtual. You are free to hand in a draft to have me look it over. And of course, you will write the paper in APA style. Minimum of 1,500 words, not including your references. So general criteria are what you're going to be graded on, your possible points, and then your very specific rubric. I would suggest using the rubric to base like what you're doing off of, because it has all of the specific details here. So culture. So if you go to announcements, you can use this ethnography outline. You can copy and paste it. It will bring up a sample outline that you are welcome to use. And then you can just kind of like go down this list and compare it to this outline. So your first criteria is culture. So fully describes how your chosen culture is a culture and how it meets the definition. So the culture I am studying is
Ms. Becker,
What's up?
Xylie's with me because she can't get on her Zoom.
Okay, I'll do attendance closer to the end of class, so will you remind me when I'm taking attendance?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Peyton. So this culture meets the criteria of a culture in this way. They have a language. They have this system of shared beliefs or this system of shared traditions. You know, a brief overview of the culture might be blank. So your purpose, so your findings and your purpose, so it clearly identifies the paper's purpose. That can be just as simple as saying this paper's purpose is to investigate the Japanese culture and compare it to my own. Or the purpose is to, you know, investigate, you know, insert whatever culture here because my significant other is from this culture and I want to learn more about it. That's just, why are you choosing this particular culture? And are you informing? Are you investigating? Are you comparing and contrasting? What are you doing? Your methodology. So develops and explains the methods you use to get your information. So how do you go about researching, finding people to interview? You know, you could say, you know, to find my information, I interviewed Peyton and, you know, Xylie and whoever else. Or I went to the internet because I didn't know anyone who was from Samoa and posted in the pen pal subreddit and asked if there was anyone from Samoa who would be willing to talk to me. And that's how I found these 3 people to talk to. So you can even say, like, I found my research by using the library easy search, the library catalog, and here's are some of the books and research or books and resources that I use. So your body will include the findings. So this is part of your purpose and findings. So clearly identifies the purpose and identifies at least, sorry, that's supposed to be at least 5 key findings. Obviously, if you identify less, then you will get less points. But if you want full marks, then you'll identify at least 5, expand on them, so how they affect or influence the culture, and if you need to, compare and contrast it to your own culture. So these are just some examples of the ones that you can do. So you could do food. You could talk about the different kinds of food they eat. You could talk about language. So how is it different than English? Is it a form of English? Do they have specific music? Do they have specific dress or clothing? Do they have specific etiquette? So do they eat a certain way? Do they greet a certain way? Do they have specific traditions in regards to holidays? And then your result / conclusion. Did you accomplish your purpose? And then why were your findings important? And then some of the other general ones. So your sources, do you have at least 5 sources for full points? Your APA format, so do you have a proper cover page, proper in-text citations, and proper references? Organization, are you writing in an organized fashion? Does your paper make sense? Is it easy to read? Does it flow logically? Do you use headings so it's easy to pick out the information? So headings. Thank you. I felt that since like 8 a.m. this morning, and finally. So is it organization, and does it tell us a story? And then grammar, so good grammar, good syntax, the paper's enjoyable to read, has a good flow, and then of course grammar and organization kind of tie together. So, and then of course you have your references sheet. Here's an example. You have a physical book that is cited in here. You have a web page, and then you have a video, and those are examples of what they might look like. So what are your questions about this? The biggest thing that I think is going to be hard for people is the interviews. because it's, for a lot of people, it's hard for them to talk to people just in general, let alone people where they're going and thinking, I need to find someone different than me, right? But you can do these in person. You can do them digitally. You can do them through Zoom. You can do them through email. You don't physically have to be sitting across the table from someone to do an interview. Just as long as you are asking them questions and they are giving you answers in some way, shape, or form, I am considering that an interview. But you have to be the one that develops the question and asks them. Questions, comments, thoughts on that? Okay, none. I will be moving on then. So part of this is you will have to present the highlights of your ethnography to the rest of the class. And this is just going to be pretty short, no more than 5 minutes of the highlights of what your ethnography looks like. So I will try to give an example of this. I might actually have I don't think I have an example of it right now, but I can make one pretty easy for you guys of just what a PowerPoint might look like. So if we're talking no more than 5 minutes, that means probably 5 to 6 slides. So actually, let's just pull open PowerPoint and do that right now. So, okay. So if we're doing our 5-minute presentation, okay, there we go. So maybe my one's going to be the Czech Republic, since I think that is the one that I've used pretty much. So Czech Republic. So I'm going to do an intro. Going to talk about some of my findings. What else do I need to talk about? It has to be PowerPoint, Google Slides. I guess if you really want to bring in just a poster board, then you can, but it has to be some form of visual aid. So maybe it looks something like this. So my intro, so according to whoever, so the Czech Republic split with Slovakia in 1992. So instead of the Czechoslovakia, it was now the Czech Republic and the Slovak Republic. So from Smith 2017. Well, according to an article by Johnson in 2018, there's roughly 3 million native Czech speakers. Some of my findings, maybe my findings, one is language. So then I'd say, whatever. My second finding might be, come on, whatever. It's not going to want to format for me, I guess. Traditions. And I'd say, okay, some of their traditions are whatever. Some other findings might be food. And I'm trying to think of etiquette. I'm definitely going to spell etiquette wrong. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, I actually spelled it right. And then if I have anything else to add, so maybe I have other interesting facts. So, and then to conclude, thank you all for listening to me about the Czech Republic. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed blah, 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 blah. But it might look something like that. It does not have to be anything superbly elaborate. It can just be like, hi, my name is Kylie Becker. I'm going to talk to you today about the Czech Republic and some of my findings from my ethnography. So to give a brief overview, the Czech Republic is a country of roughly 4 million people, 3 million of which are native Czech speakers. It officially became a country in 1992 after it split from Czechoslovakia, blah, 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 blah. So questions about that, and we will talk more about that later on as the semester gets started, but just know that it is coming up with the with the ethnography. So you have your paper and then you have a really short presentation where you're basically just summarizing the things that you found most interesting to share with your classmates. So, and you do have the rubric for this one also, so you can see, okay, you know, I explain why this is a culture and I identify 4 findings. And then I will record all of these so that you guys can then go and react to other people. So since we are in person, we will be doing these in class. And I will be recording them through Zoom. If you happen to have to go into quarantine, or if you are taking care of a sick family member, or are sick, then you are welcome to record it on your own and then post it into the discussion. But other than that, we will be doing them in class. And then that is technically it with the preview. So what are our thoughts on this? I know we've mentioned it briefly a couple times. We might have even talked about it a little more in depth, but I don't want to feel like I'm hammering it into you guys, but I just want to make sure that you understand that this is coming up. We are in week 4. That means we are 25% of the way done with the semester, almost. On Friday, we will be 25% of the way done, which means you guys technically have 75% of the time to finish this, but it feels like these first 4 weeks passed pretty quickly. Either that or they took an eternity. I'm not sure. Yes, a survey is a type of interview, Ramon. But you definitely want to make sure you're getting a variety of information. So you'd have to make sure that you have blanks for them to type in. Actually, that's a really good point, Ramon. Have you guys ever used the Google Forms for surveys before? A couple people shaking their heads. I don't know if I'll have time to show it when I talk about interviewing next week. So Ramon, since you brought that up, I'm going to show you guys a trick with that now. So you guys all have access, to Google through your student Gmail. So, what is mine? Monsters.ac.edu, I think. Woo, I remember the password. Sweet. Okay. So in your Google Drive, you guys have access to Google Forms. And it's really, really easy to make a survey in here. So Untitled Form, so I might say this is my intercultural survey. So please fill out this survey on the culture of the Czech Republic. Smiley face. So I can say, okay, do I want short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes? So maybe I want some demographic information first. So I'd say, okay, option 1 is 18 to 24. Whoop, why is my numlock always locked? 18 to 24. Option 2, 25 to, 32. 33 to 45, 46 through 60, or 60 plus. And then I get some demographic information about who I'm interviewing. And then I say, okay, I want another question, and maybe I want a short answer or paragraph, and say, what is your favorite aspect of Czech culture? And then that gives people a chance to type in and write whatever they want. And say, my favorite aspect of Czech culture is our traditional outfits called kroj, or whatever. What is your favorite holiday tradition? And then that can be your interview. And then when you have people who respond, you'll come up with your responses, and you'll be able to see what everyone wrote and like their age ranges and stuff. Because someone who's 25 might have a different favorite aspect of Czech culture versus someone who's 65. So, because someone who is 60 plus was also there when the Russians were occupying Czechoslovakia. So yes, Ramon, a survey would count. And then it's really easy to export that data because you can export it into a spreadsheet. So. Good question, or good thought. So, any other thoughts on that? Guys are all ready to get writing? Obviously. Yeah. Okay. Was there something else? Got what, 22 out of our 29 people in here, 28? That's, I don't know. I'm gonna do attendance real fast, guys. So, 22.